Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Patricia and Donald Gallimore join us. They're president and second vice president of the NAACP Reno Sparks. Here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
It's a good time to eat.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School for workwear and everyday wear. Evaporative coolers, outdoor living, Weber's, Traeger's, and Lodge. Fill your propane tanks here. Big R on Bering Boulevard in Sparks, next to Smith's, and across from Reed High School. Big R. Hardware, clothing, and a whole lot more.
It's a good time to play.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
It's a good time to win.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to welcome to the program Patricia and Donald Gallimore. Patricia is president and Donald is the vice president of the NAACP Reno Sparks. It's a pleasure to have you both here. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
On a rainy morning.
I know, thank you for having us.
With the traffic jam.
Yes, you're very welcome. Well, let's start out. You've got a big event coming up on Saturday, August 26th, which is the 75th Annual Freedom Fund Banquet. And the theme is Thriving Together, Justice and Equality for All, specifically for underserved communities. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so we have an event every year. It's our major fundraiser for the Reno Sparks NAACP. So basically, it's for us to do the work in the community, right, to help the individuals, the underserved population. So we do it every year. We haven't done it since 2019 because of COVID and everything else. So, you know, this is our introduction as we are back into the community, getting out and about and rebuilding our membership, as well as our marketing and telling individuals in the community that we are here and that we're here to help folks in terms of legal. I am the chair of the Environmental Climate Justice Committee, so we also do environmental climate justice. And I'm also the co-chair of the Health Committee, so we advocate a lot in the community for health. We have a pretty robust health committee, as well as we have done some symposiums. We did in 2019, we did a symposium on environmental climate justice and health as well. So we're, that's what this event is going to be.
All right, Donald, what is environmental justice for NAACP?
Basically, we're trying to make sure that all our waterways, airways, the carbon footprint is as minimal as possible. And Nevada is unique, so we have an extra difficult task. People don't understand that we are a nuclear test site. That's where everybody here has got radiation in them, so we've got to live with that. We've got Yarrington, the Anaconda mine pit. People don't understand that that's one of the EPA's 5 most important or mine ecological
Superfund.
disasters.
Yeah, Superfund site.
The Superfund sites in America. And now we're working with the tribes to minimize the impact of lithium mining. So the NAACP is, among other things, very directly affects what goes on in our ecology right now in Nevada.
Okay, Patricia, what in regards rather to lithium mining are your concerns?
Groundwater, underground water, is very, very important. Also protecting the sacred lands of the indigenous people as well. So we always encroach, and we being the United States are people, it's all about money and power. And it's always an encroachment, so it's important to protect the individuals and their land rights, their sacred land rights, as well as water. Water is life, and without it, we have to understand we have to live with nature. And I understand the profitability line of it, but we have to make sure that we have a conscience when we're doing things. So that's kind of what we heard for the NAACP is here to help them have a conscience. Everybody have a conscience.
Okay, and the conundrum, of course, is that while you're trying to do the protection on one side, the other side that you're also involved in is, reducing the carbon footprint.
Right.
How do you balance those two things out? Because it seems sometimes, and I'm certainly not referring to you guys, but it seems sometimes that the environmental community is in favor of green energy and then puts up every barrier it possibly can for green energy to be developed in this state.
Right. Well, solar is available as well, right? And I understand the lithium batteries are associated with that, but we have to have a balance. So the balance being that said is that there's other places besides Nevada. So let's spread the wealth to those places as well, and just don't focus on one place. So when we're talking about that carbon footprint, we spread it, and so it makes it more balanced, is from what I see, from what I would see, from my personal opinion.
Okay, so where else would you, obviously you've got to do lithium mining where lithium exists. Is that a fair question?
Sure. Yeah. Where else could we do? We could go to California. We could go Canada.
Lithium is generally all over the world.
Yeah.
It's just the fact of concentration and how much, the way that you mine it. So you can get lithium from any of the number of countries, Venezuela, Argentina. They've got large deposits. It just depends on how you mine it, but lithium is everywhere. And we don't have to necessarily destroy sacred burial grounds, or even, for me, it's more wildlife. I don't want to see, the pupfish. We're going down towards Silver
Springs?
No, the one.
You're talking about down in southern Nevada.
Down towards southern Nevada. So we're looking at saving some of the species that are endangered, that are unique to Nevada, and that's one of my main concerns.
So, at the same time, you have the federal government saying that we need lithium. That one of the major places where you get this, for example, is from China, and that's not necessarily the best place that we want to get this from. So it's become an issue of national security. How does that balance out?
It's a good question, actually. So balance, we have to go back to being America, right? Everything being made in America. That's kind of where we got lost, and we were. And then that's a big topic. Then you'll start talking about labor in terms of employment and why we did that in the first place. In terms of we wanted to make a whole lot more money, we wanted to get stuff cheaper, and so we switched. Because everything in the past, remember when I was growing up in the 60s, everything was American made. Everybody had American made cars, and then toward the 70s, the 80s, we switched over. Everybody was driving, Japanese vehicles. So we have to pay folks to do that, right? We have to pay the money. We have to pay them more money. So I think that, as I said, everything has to have a balance. We don't have to just have everything in terms of solar vehicles, right? We can have a big wide gamut of different vehicles. You know, we have the combustion
Hydrogen,
engine,
the hydrogen buses just got rolled out here.
Yeah.
So there are all kinds of alternatives. You know, we've had the ability for steam and electric cars since 1902, and Porsche took the blueprint, bought it, took the blueprints and threw them in the garbage. So we've had, you know, we're an R&D state. We're one of the leaders in technology in the entire world, and so there's a good possibility that we are working on other forms of transportation where lithium doesn't have to be a primary component.
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Okay.
No, it sounds like
which is that one of the things that the state is excited about is that we're going from mining to recycling of lithium, for example. Is that something that you applaud at least?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, anything to make the situation better for everyone, and remember that we have to take care of this planet because this is all we have that we know of right now. So anything that we can do to keep that going, of course, yeah. Yeah, so recycling is good. I mean, I see that it's just as my Vice President Gallimore was saying, you know, we have to understand that nuclear, you know, the atomic bombs were here, you know, exploded here in Nevada, in southern Nevada, and
Fallon, too.
Yeah, Fallon, which is not too far down the road, right? And we live here, and this is our community. So it has to say something even about myself and all of us living here, and we know that stuff is toxic, right? But we're living here. And now our economy, you know, our medium price ranges of homes are expensive, and we're budding and wanting to run to this land to live in all of this. So, and it's not cheap anymore. This used to be a place where you could go and afford it, but the affordability line has now changed. So we as people have to start thinking and prioritizing what we feel is more important, you know, because we're seeing folks, cancer rates are up, certainly. Health rates are up in terms of asthma and things of that nature, and so we have to start looking at that and doing a little pushback. And I think that's and putting it in the forefront as well. You know, I hate to say California. I'm from California, but you know, there's a lot of things that we can learn in terms of what we need to do here in Nevada to get this land and get the purpose correct and stop thinking about profit.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's take a break and we'll come right back. More after this timeout.
Remember 2010 in northern Nevada, 13 to 14% unemployment, thousands of homes in foreclosure, Nevada's casinos closing? Families in the Reno-Sparks area were hurting. Many were losing everything. Then Story County launched a game changer for our region, a public-private industrial partnership, streamlined permitting, /bureaucracy, attracting Fortune 500 companies that made Nevada their home. Story County generated a river of cash to area communities. Economic studies by the state and others for the Gigafactory consistently show positive economic benefits for our region. $4 billion in local wages, $17 billion in consumer spending and economic activity, over $100 million in taxes to Washoe, Story, Reno, Sparks, and Nevada, just for the Gigafactory alone. Story County, improving northern Nevada one industry at a time.
It's the $100,000 Cash is King Progressive giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Giveaways every Saturday with a Progressive up to $20K and $15,000 in guaranteed grand prize giveaways. There's another 100,000 reasons to play and win at the Carson Valley Inn.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Patricia Gallimore, Donald Gallimore, the president and second vice president of the NAACP Reno Sparks. Okay, so you brought this up. I got to go to it. All right, the profit motive here. There has to be a circle, I would think, of where businesses have to be able to indulge in commerce, to be able to not only create profit for their companies, but to employ Nevadans. Is there an issue with that, or is it just a balance of how much profit do you make versus how much you give back to the community?
So it's kind of reciprocal, right? So they're good paying jobs. You're going to create more jobs, right? This is going to be different technologies, just like when we talk about AI and how we had the transition to technology, IT technology and AI. It's going to create different jobs, and some of these jobs you don't have to even go to college for, right? Which is what we want. We want jobs for regular people. Everybody can't. The affordability line, once again, for college is very, very difficult. So I think it's reciprocal. I think it will create, employment, and then in turn, when you get those good bodies there working, of course, there's always going to be trickle down effect of the company making money as well.
I want to hit on another topic that you guys brought up, which is indigenous people and respect for the land. Isn't it in reality, and again I'm playing devil's advocate here, that the whole country of the United States and Canada and Mexico all belong to the indigenous tribes? And so really we are all the trespassers if we have moved here from somewhere else.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, no, you might have hit
You hit the nail right on the head.
You shouldn't have done there.
Yeah, I mean, virtually all the property that is North and South America essentially is property, if you will, of indigenous people. Indigenous people, just like everyone else of color, do not like to create property lines. When you talk about the peoples of the world in the past, there were very few property lines. The world was your property line. And so when you're talking profit motives and the corporate, I don't want to say greed, but
corporate
I'll
need.
say greed.
Corporate need.
Corporate need. Those are antithetical to a lot of the humanistic principles that people should be presiding by, living by, instead of necessarily having money as a god. And that's what's happening right now. That's what's the problem with a lot of America. RGJ yesterday had the question on secularism, and there were some very enlightening answers by our clerics, and and there was no real wrong answer. Secularism, as opposed to what it means to democracy, is something that we really, really have to sit down and think about and talk about, because those two are the guiding principles of America, of how we were created.
Right, but I mean, even within those indigenous tribes, there was a hierarchy.
Sure.
There's always a hierarchy.
And there were lines drawn, from the caveman days. Whoever had the biggest club and the most people got to take the biggest part of the territory. So it's not anything new. And we've had hierarchies in all kinds of civil society in the United States. For example, we're talking about the NAACP, so let's mention that, even in the worst times for the African American community in the United States, and there were some terrible times, there was still civil society within those communities. So you had working class people, you had middle class people, you had people within the African American community who were bankers and lawyers. Is that not correct?
Yes, certainly. And the point with that is where did we get our money from? But the give back.
No. My point was not where do you get the money from, but there is an organization of society. It wasn't just one group that were the ruling class and another group that were the class that was beaten up on. Yes, there were terrible things that happened, no argument there. But each society formed itself into its own societies and had multiple layers. It wasn't just poor people in each society, there were all different levels. Is that fair to say? I mean, feel free to disagree.
No. That's nature's way.
Okay.
I mean, everyone, unfortunately or fortunately, according to the Bible, or if you're an alien, or if you came from whatever, there's always a hierarchy where, in a lot of ways, it's patriarchal because of strength, merely because of strength, but and size. But for the most part, we have to live by patriarchy, or not necessarily in a lot of ways patriarchy, because it's natural. It's just the way it is. I was able to help Assemblyman Harvey Mumford get the AB 234 multicultural curriculum, and now I'm
one of our great legislators, by the way.
Fighting. Now I'm fighting CRT, which doesn't exist, but there's a leader element in every society, and that's what we want to try to incorporate in our teaching. There is the X, Y, and there are chromosomes that are, for the most part, that we all live with. So there's a natural hierarchy, and we're Africans. We've been here 120,000 years before anyone else. We generally have the answers, and it's just a matter of where we go again to migrate in order to control those or help those civilizations.
All right, let's take another break. We'll come back and we'll talk more about your event after this time out.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're having a fascinating conversation here with Patricia and Donald Gallimore, President and Second Vice President of the NAACP Reno Sparks. The main reason that we wanted to have you guys come in was to talk about your event that's coming up Saturday, August 26th at the Atlantis here in Reno. It's the 75th Annual Freedom Fund Banquet. The theme, Thriving Together, Justice and Equality for All, specifically for underserved communities. So what can people expect when they come to the event?
Well, to get educated. It's going to be a pretty robust event, I think, actually. We have Attorney General Aaron Ford is going to be speaking about Thriving Together, and I know that he is going to carry that topic all the way that it needs to go. We also have a greeting and a welcome from Alfonso Franklin from Sigma Computing, and he's going to put Thriving Together in terms and getting in touch with the AI and the technological side of it and how that in terms of carrying people of color, African Americans specifically, in terms of thriving further and thriving together. Because, you know, when we think about African Americans, I think about us being a man-made group of people, of human beings, because we were brought over from Africa, of course. But once we got here, we were mated and bred with other individuals, other races, to create this race of folks that what you see today, right? And we still are mutating out, I call it, somewhat. So we have to learn to thrive and live together. That is a big issue. It's probably a controversial issue as well. But, you know, in America, the main thing is that you had to learn to read and you had to write. That's what our society is based on, is education. And those were main things that were taken from African Americans being slaves. So that topic of thriving together is to bring us together and make us thrive and help us thrive. Because generational wealth is something else that we're trying to build for African Americans. So all of those go hand in hand. Last year's theme was "This is Power," right? And so now we're going to get that power. You have to thrive together, and that's kind of how that's taking it. So Attorney General Ford is going to speak about that. Eric Brown, County Commissioner Eric Brown, is our Master of Ceremonies.
The County Manager.
Yes. Yeah, did that what I said?
Yeah, and let me just repeat
Manager,
for a quick second here.
Yes.
So it's Saturday, August 26th
Yes.
at the Atlantis. If people want to find out more about it, they can go to your website, which is renosparksNAACP.org.
Correct.
I want to thank you both for coming in.
Thank
it
you.
was a fascinating conversation. I had no idea where it was going, and it was very interesting. Thank you both for
Thank
being
you so
here and
much.
come back.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. And we'll be right back.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
7 at 7 is a newscast built for your smartphone. It's a 7-minute newscast available every weekday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. at lvrj.com. We don't waste your time, and we give you the day's top stories.
We at the RJ have noticed some similarities between us and a certain BTS character, RJ.
Plus the latest in Las Vegas business, weather, health, and entertainment news. 7 at 7 streaming now on your smartphone.
It's the $100,000 Cash is King Progressive giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Giveaways every Saturday with a Progressive up to $20K and $15,000 in guaranteed grand prize giveaways. There's another 100,000 reasons to play and win at the Carson Valley Inn.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can catch us online 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com, or you can download the podcast wherever you like to get your podcasts. We'll see you on the next broadcast.